Problem 2. If there are 5 lines on top, all drawn on top of each other, how many intersecting points are there at most? And what about 10 lines? So first, what is the difference between this problem and problem 1? Well, this time, instead of talking about cuts, it was about different lines going on top of each other. And notice how I highlighted the 2 words, at most. We're trying to find, at most, how many intersection points are there. So this is going to be complicated. I'm going to be drawing tables. I'm going to be drawing a lot of stuff. But first, let's set up our table. So here's our table, and I'm going to split the top and the bottom. So first, what do I want this top to be representing? Well, this should probably be the number of lines. And if the number of lines change, then the number of points change. And this is just short for the number of intersecting points at most. Okay, at most. Those 2 words are very important. So let's think, well, if there were only 1 line, then at most, how many intersecting points are there? So that wouldn't work out. It doesn't make sense to have 1 line intersecting with itself. So I'm going to start with 2. So if there were 2 lines, the only way they can ever touch each other is only by 1 point. So the number of intersecting points at most would be 1. What if there were 3 lines? Well, we're trying to get that 3 lines to touch as many other lines as possible. So that would be those 2. Okay, and this is 3. I'm not seeing any patterns so far, so let's keep going. Number 4, we're trying to get another line to touch as many other lines as possible. So why don't we try, okay, we can try this way. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so number 6. Let's continue with number 5. But, that's what the problem is asking. And let's see if we can see any pattern so far. Well, maybe it's increasing, so it has to be either multiplication or division, but it's not multiplying by anything. So this would be plus 2. Then this is plus 3. So the pattern is actually a bit interesting. It's plus 2s, plus 3s, plus 4s, plus 5s. This whole thing itself is not a really repeating one with the same difference with each term, but we know that their differences have a pattern, right? Goes up 2, 3, 4, 5. So plus 4 would be 10. Plus 5 would be 15. So if there were 5 lines on top of each other, that would be at most 4 points. So 5 lines. If you were going to properly answer this question, you would do full sentences. I don't have space up here, so that's what I'm writing. So for 5 lines, we would have 10 points. You would have to say 10 intersecting points at most. But what about 10 lines? Okay, this is when everything gets a bit harder. So it's not like I'm going to continue writing all of this up there. It's going to take way too long. So I'm going to look at this another way. So this is the second term. Well, if you think about it, if this is a pattern up here for number 1, this would actually be a 0 because the pattern is plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4. So for the first term, I'll think of this as the first term. That would just be 0. That would be nothing. Well, for second, that's 0 plus 1. For third, for the third term, that's 0 plus 1 plus 2. For the fourth term, it's 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3. Notice how I'm starting to create almost like a pyramid like this. So what about the 10th one? For the 10th one, what would be the equation? That would be 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 added all the way up to which number? Well, this one added up to 1, which is 1 less than 2. This one added up to 2, which was 1 less than 3. This added up to 3, which was 1 less than 4. So since this is the 10th term, it would add up to 1 less than 10, which is 9. Now we add. So you could pair each of these up. So we could have 0 with 9, 1 with 8. So each pair adds up to 9. But how much pairs are there? Well, in total, there's 10 numbers, right, including 0. So 10 divided by 10, and since there are 2 numbers in each pair, so divide that by 2 equals 5. So that would be 9 times 5 pairs of 9. So 5 pairs of 9 would equal 45. So with 10 lines, there would be at most 45 points. Again, that's our answer. The main thing that helped us in this problem was, well, we drew a table. As we went along the first few numbers, we had to draw this, but later as you get more skilled, you don't even need to draw a picture anymore. You could just visualize in your head. And this part is actually the hardest, knowing to really write it out. You can't just write this out messily. You have to write this out according to the pattern that this problem goes by in order to find the pattern itself and find out how many, at maximum, how many points are there for 10 lines. So we calculated that. That's 45. And yeah, that's our final answer. Thank you for watching, and meet you in problem.